In many families, adults speak to babies in simplified language, yet constantly repeating simple phrases like, nice kitty, see the kitty, does not provide extra help to children in learning a language. Okay. We know this because there are families in which no one speaks to babies this way. Yet the children in these families master the grammatical structure of their language just as well and as quickly as other children do.
All right, so what's our conclusion?
Let's see. Children in the families master the grammatical structure just as well and as quickly. No way. No. Constantly repeating simple phrases does not provide extra help.
Yes, because we know this so that's our
Yeah.
because is going to introduce our premise because there are families that no one does this, and these children master the grammatical structure of the language just as well as quickly as other children's do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you think about this argument so far?
Speaks to this way. So, I mean, it's not a terrible argument.
What are I'm really paying attention to like what are our traits or not traits? What are our variables that we're talking about here?
Let's see. So, adults they speak in simplified language, repeating these simple phrases.
So I'm really paying attention to our conclusion where I don't know if this is what it's going to be in learning a language,
Mm-hmm.
but then what do we use to support this? What variables do we use?
Grammatical structure.
Is that the same? Does that have to be the same thing?
No.
I don't know. Like I'm like that's what I'm really paying attention to is okay, so just because these students that don't have this don't learn grammatical structure as fast as other students, does that mean that there's no benefit of learning a language? I feel like there has to be more into learning a language than just grammatical structure, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm thinking. What kind of question is this?
Necessary.
Awesome. So do we tend to want a stronger or more mild answer?
Mild.
Fabulous. All right, go ahead and start with A.
Okay. Babies pay no extra attention to spoken phrases with simple grammatical structures. Hmm. Mm, I don't think that has to be true.
Yeah, no extra attention.
Yeah, no.
Awesome. Right, what about B?
Speaking to babies in simplified language could impair their language learning. I mean, it's mild in the could part, but impair their language learning?
Yeah, that's going the opposite. We're just saying it doesn't help. That doesn't mean that the opposite has to be true. It actually impairs him.
Impair. No, 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 no.
Okay.
All right. Any child who has mastered the grammatical structure of a language has learned the language. Okay, so that's really strong.
It is
Any
really strong.
child, any child who has mastered the grammatical structure of the language has learned the language. No, that's not true because they don't have to learn grammatical structure in order to learn a language.
But isn't that what let's leave C because we're like, I'm wondering what does grammatical language structure have anything to do with learning a language?
Okay, so trying to bridge that gap between
Yeah.
the.
Let's
Hmm,
leave C.
okay. Many linguists believe that speaking to babies in simplified language helps the babies learn language. No.
Do we care what
No.
linguistics believe?
No.
No, they don't have to believe that or they could believe it, whatever. We're just saying it doesn't actually help them.
Yeah, no. Okay. And then to learn a language, one must acquire its vocabulary as well as its grammatical structure. You must acquire? Vocabulary and grammatical structure. It doesn't say anything about vocabulary.
Yeah, do we know that do you have to be able to learn the vocabulary in order for us to our conclusion that constantly repeating simple phrases like this does not provide extra help? No,
No.
it brings in this new variable that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
All right, so why does C have to be true?
Okay. So any child who has mastered the grammatical structure of a language has learned the language.
So if you've mastered grammatical structure, that means that you have learned the
Learn-
language. So if
So
you haven't learned the language, then what?
then you haven't mastered the grammatical structure.
Excellent. And our conclusion is saying that constantly repeating simple phrases does not provide extra help. And our reasoning for this is because students that master grammatical structure do so just as quickly as other students. Well, if they do this just as quickly as other students, and that's our only proof, doesn't it need to be true that people that do this also, like, that's the definition of learning the language?
Yeah.
And so that's why our answer is C. That is a really good question.